The control room is silent, except for the rapid beeping of consoles and the tense voices of pilots awaiting commands. Everyone expects orders from the seasoned squadron leader, but tonight, the orders come from her. A young officer, barely noticed before, steps forward, issuing instructions that could decide the fate of an entire mission. Will the squadron follow her lead, or will doubt cost them everything? The control room was a hive of low hums, blinking lights, and the occasional crackle of radio chatter. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly, dotted with the faint glimmer of stars, but inside, the room was alive with a tension so thick it seemed almost tangible. Pilots sat in their seats, helmets on, hands hovering over their controls, waiting for the voice that would guide them through the operation. It was supposed to be the squadron leader who spoke tonight, the seasoned veteran who had flown more missions than anyone could count. But he was absent, called away unexpectedly at the last minute. And that's when she stepped forward. For most of her career, she had been just another officer in the control room, tracking movements, managing communications, ensuring protocols were followed. She had never imagined herself giving direct commands to the squadron, much less in a mission that could tip the balance of a critical operation. Yet here she was, her hands trembling slightly over the console, heart pounding in her chest, aware of every pair of eyes suddenly turning toward her. The room fell into a silence so complete it was almost suffocating. Every beep and blink of the console seemed magnified. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, recalling every simulation she had ever run, every emergency protocol she had memorized. She knew what was at stake. Failure wasn't just a professional setback. Lives hung in the balance. And for the first time, she felt the weight of that responsibility pressing down on her in a way she could neither ignore nor deflect. She cleared her throat, her voice soft at first, almost hesitant. All units, confirm readiness for Mission Protocol Delta 7. A few heads tilted skeptically, murmurs rippling through the room. These pilots were veterans. They had followed countless orders from more experienced officers. Why would they trust her? She sensed the doubt, the quiet assessment of her competence. She knew she had to make them believe in her in the next few seconds, or risk chaos. Her eyes scanned the radar screens, the flight paths, the indicators flashing warnings of potential threats. Every number, every blinking light told a story. Her mind raced, connecting dots faster than she thought possible. She issued her first set of commands with a clarity that surprised even her. Adjustments to altitude, trajectory, and formation. Each instruction was precise, leaving no room for error, yet delivered in a way that demanded attention. Slowly, one by one, the pilots acknowledged her orders. The tension in the room shifted, subtle but unmistakable. Where doubt had lingered, curiosity and tentative trust began to take root. She realized that the first challenge wasn't the mission itself. It was commanding belief, earning the confidence of those whose lives depended on her judgment. And in that moment, as the control room hummed with cautious compliance, she felt a surge of determination. This was her moment, not just to lead, but to prove that even someone underestimated could make the difference between victory and disaster. The control room's atmosphere had shifted from silent doubt to tense anticipation. Every console beep and radio crackle felt like a heartbeat, syncing with hers. She could see the squadron pilots through the surveillance monitors, faces illuminated by the dim glow of their cockpit instruments. They were skilled, disciplined, and, she reminded herself, experienced. But experience didn't automatically translate into trust, and she knew her every command would be scrutinized, judged against the expectations of a leader they had never followed before. The first challenge came quickly. A radar blip indicated an unexpected formation of enemy drones approaching from the south. Protocol dictated immediate evasive action, but she had noticed a vulnerability in their flight path, a blind spot the enemy might exploit. She calculated the angle, altitude, and timing, issuing her instructions calmly but with authority. Unit Bravo, shift 2 degrees north and increase altitude by 300 feet. Unit Alpha, maintain formation but adjust spacing to 1.5 miles. Engage after the first pass. There was a pause on the comms, a hesitation that felt like an eternity. She could almost hear the pilots questioning whether following a control room officer's intuition was wise. But then one voice, deeper than the others, broke the silence. "Copy that. Control. Adjusting now." Others followed one by one. She allowed herself a brief internal exhale, but she didn't relax. This was only the beginning. As the squadron executed the maneuver, her eyes darted across the monitors, monitoring every vector, every altitude reading. A sudden alert flashed. A drone had broken formation, veering dangerously close to Unit Charlie. Time compressed into milliseconds. Her mind worked faster than she had ever imagined possible. She issued split-second corrections, guiding Unit Charlie away from a potential collision while simultaneously recalculating the squadron's trajectory to maintain mission integrity. Sweat beaded at her temple, but her voice remained steady. "Unit Charlie, evasive right, 20 degrees. All units maintain visual lock. Target re-entry in 3 seconds." The pilots complied, their trust growing as her instructions proved accurate, decisive, and effective. With each correct decision, the skepticism in their eyes softened, replaced by a grudging respect and focus on the mission. Even as the immediate threat passed, she knew the stakes were far from over. Each decision now carried more weight, each command a delicate balance between tactical advantage and human lives. She realized that leadership wasn't about being the loudest voice or the most decorated officer. It was about precision, clarity, and the courage to make the right call when everything else seemed uncertain. By the time the enemy formation cleared the first pass, she felt a subtle shift in the control room's energy. The pilots weren't just following her orders out of necessity. They were listening, considering, trusting. And in that trust, she found her own confidence growing, a quiet assurance that she could lead them through whatever came next. The control room had transformed from a chamber of doubt into a hub of synchronized action. The squadron now moved with precision, responding instantly to her commands. Every decision she made was met with execution, not hesitation. The earlier skepticism had been replaced by a cautious confidence, a fragile trust that she knew could be shattered in an instant if a single error was made. The enemy formation had regrouped, this time approaching from multiple vectors, forcing her to think 3 moves ahead. She rapidly assessed the threats, rerouting units to cover blind spots while preparing the squadron for simultaneous offensive and defensive maneuvers. Her hands flew across the console, issuing precise commands, adjusting flight paths, and coordinating weapon systems. The tension was palpable, each beep an alert a reminder that there was no room for error. Unit Delta, flank left, engage at 12 o'clock. Unit Bravo, maintain elevation, cover Delta. All units, sync on my mark 3, 2, 1, engage. Her voice, once tentative, now carried the authority of someone who had earned the room's attention. And for the first time she felt an unfamiliar but exhilarating sensation, control not just over the mission, but over the outcome of lives dependent on her judgment. The squadron responded flawlessly. Each pilot moved as if reading her mind, executing maneuvers with the fluidity of years of experience fused with instinctive trust. A sudden alert flashed. One of the enemy drones had broken through the formation, heading directly toward Unit Alpha. Time slowed as she calculated the options, weighing risk against reward, and gave a split-second command that rerouted Unit Alpha just in time. The drone passed harmlessly, and a collective sigh of relief echoed through the comms. She allowed herself a small, private smile. This was more than strategy, it was proof that she belonged in this room, in this mission, in this position of responsibility. As the final enemy units retreated, the control room erupted in subdued but unmistakable acknowledgement. Pilots glanced at each other and then back at her. Nods of respect and relief exchanged across the room. The mission had been successful not because of sheer luck, but because she had risen to the occasion, guiding the squadron with precision, courage, and clear-headed decisiveness. In the quiet aftermath, she leaned back slightly, letting the adrenaline fade, feeling a sense of accomplishment that went beyond professional achievement. She had proven not only her capability, but the power of trust, earned in moments of crisis, solidified by skill, and recognized by those who had once doubted her. The control room, once a place of observation, had become a theater where she had led, commanded, and triumphed. And as the squadron returned to base, she knew that her role had changed forever. She was no longer just another officer. She was a leader, the linchpin of a team that had learned to follow her, even under the most impossible circumstances.